Think back. Do you remember that story about Donald Trump, the fake news story that he was in some Moscow hotel room 15 years ago with a bunch of prostitutes, and there was a lot of urination going on, according to the fake news story. That story broke 7 years ago right now. That fake news story, a sabotage attempt by the deep state, the Central Intelligence Agency, the FBI, and their favorites in the Hillary Clinton campaign. They tried to stop the Trump presidency before it even started.
We're breaking this story.
That's right, Wolf. A CNN exclusive. CNN has learned that the nation's top intelligence officials gave information to President-elect Donald Trump and President Barack Obama last week about claims of Russian efforts to compromise President-elect Trump.
All eyes on a breaking news story involving the President-elect Donald Trump. Potentially damaging, potentially explosive story having to do with the President-elect 9 days before the inauguration, and it involves the Russians.
Back then, we didn't know what we know now about the deep state. And wow, what a shocking story. Oh my gosh, could it be true? Could it be true? And it was nonsense. And it revealed so much about this horrible, horrible, unelected, permanent government that we have and their allegiance to the Democrat Party. They thought Donald Trump would crumble, at least be somewhat, maybe embarrassed or whatever. They were messing with the wrong guy. 7 years ago, today, right now, President-elect Donald Trump in front of the world's media.
I want to thank a lot of the news organizations here today because they looked at that nonsense that was released by maybe the intelligence agencies. Who knows? But maybe the intelligence agencies, which would be a tremendous blot on their record if they in fact did that, a tremendous blot, because a thing like that should have never been written, it should never have been had, and it should certainly never have been released. I think it was disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. I think it's a disgrace. And I say that, and that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do. I think it's a disgrace. That information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public. As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are.
Amazing. He didn't fold, he didn't cry, and he gave back harder than he got, and it made him even angrier. Comey, Clapper, Brennan, the whole mess of them. And 7 years later, he's still fighting the same fake charges, the same fake news. In court today, you know, they're going after his entire business empire. They're going after his freedom, and he's not taking it, still fighting back. And the deep state, in this case, Latisha James, I think we can make her an honorary member of the deep state. The Attorney General sitting there all cocky and weird and somehow, I don't know, like the cat who ate the canary. She thinks there's safety in numbers. The media has her back. The deep state has her back. But it's not going to work, just like it didn't work the first time. Anyway, he's used to it now, Donald Trump. Here he is, same kind of setting. The flag's behind him. He's standing in 40 Wall Street, one of the Trump empire's properties on Wall Street, yeah. And, well, doing what he has to do.
It's really it's a witch hunt in the truest sense of the word. It's election interference. And it just came out, this was just right now, Latisha James visited Joe Biden in the White House numerous times during the Trump witch hunt. And this just came out about 10 minutes ago, I got it. And so it's all a conspiracy to try and get Biden, who can't put two sentences together, trying to get him into office.
It's kind of an interesting rule of thumb. He always turns out to be right, and they always turn out to be wrong. Truth and lies, truth and lies. You remember Joe Biden's very deceptive inaugural speech?
There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and a responsibility as citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders, leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and protect our nation, to defend the truth and defeat the lies.
Leaders of our government are not supposed to be determining what's true and what's not, okay? That is so far outside the job description of a democracy, okay? But I thought instead of going through everything that Biden says that's false and everything that Trump says is true, and we have gone through the lawsuit, the Latisha James case, we've done it before, but I thought we'd compare and contrast something different. Donald Trump, we already know where he's coming from. We already trust him. Instead of Joe, I thought we'd focus on Jill. Dr. Jill Biden, who's not really a doctor, not a real doctor, but she's very touchy about that. She said some things today on MSNBC. And in its own way, this interview is a lie detector test. And I catch her. And you will too. If you lie about the little things, you lie about the big things. Watch.
When I was dating Joe, one of the things that drew me to him was his strength. And at that point, he had been through the death of his wife and baby daughter in a car accident.
All right. What drew Jill to Joe was Jill was a powerful figure in a very small state and the allure of an extramarital affair. The story that she has told time and time again about how they met is false. Joe has told the same story. It's false. She was married to a great guy named Bill Stevenson, and she cheated on him. Look, things happen. People are human beings. But their marriage is based on, well, publicly at least, it's all a lie. How they met, all of that stuff. I know it. You've been watching the show. You know it. Next, please.
When we got here, I felt that he knew how to rebuild this country because he had rebuilt our family out of tragedy.
Do you really think that she put those two things together? I don't. I know a focus grouped political consultant line when I hear one. We know phoniness when we hear it, and that is a phony, manufactured political myth, okay? You can't fool us. They think we're stupid. Next.
And I think what people don't see is how hard Joe works every single day, that he gets up thinking what he can do for the American people.
We don't see it because it's not happening. We see you on vacation, or we don't see you at all. This is not a man who's thinking about the American people, adjusting his chair for the, I don't know what, for the right tan, for not getting a tan. We have seen you people, quite frankly, loaf. You're loafers and you're freeloaders. We know you. We know you well. A lot of us knew you before you hit the White House, and we knew you were like this. Now everybody can see it, and there's no escaping it. But it's interesting how they so easily lie, how she so easily deceives. Next.
His job doesn't end when we just have dinner together at 7 o'clock. He's on the phone, and he's on the phone with leaders of foreign countries, and he's on the phone with his cabinet.
I like how they use this picture, 7 o'clock dinner, right? Well, it's daytime in this picture. The sun goes down at 4 something in Washington, D.C. Look, and that lie comes right where we know he was not speaking to his Secretary of Defense for probably 2 weeks. 2 weeks. The guy was in the hospital. He was under general anesthesia, colon cancer, prostate cancer, and Joe Biden has no clue. That guy might be as out to lunch as Joe Biden is. We know this stuff. And then there's Joe and his reputation for telling the truth.
And when I look at the man, you know, his integrity, his character has not changed, and he's unwavering. He's unflappable.
Unflappable. You ever seen Steve Doocy ask this guy a question? Ever see him try to get on an airplane? This guy is flappable. The fake news covers for this, but he is very, very flappable. And did she say, maybe this is kind of in a weird way true, his integrity has not changed over the years. Well, let's go back to 1987. We'll just run this for a few seconds when, in about 30 seconds, he told about 50 lies.
what law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly, I think we all
I think I
Ronald
probably have a
Reagan.
much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the
You know how it
political science
goes.
department.
Lie after lie after lie. And the national media back then, they weren't as corrupt as they are now. They weren't afraid to basically say, you can't be president when you lie like this. And he had to drop out of the race. We are in a very different place now, aren't we? Kind of like an authoritarian state, a socialist state, like Russia, like the Soviet Union. Remember that guy? What was his name? Leonid Brezhnev, you know, on top of the Kremlin. And everybody said he was youthful and vigor. Over there they did. We knew better. We know better, but they tell us otherwise. All right. Now this from Jill.
Is there a part of you that is worried about his age and health? Can he do it?
He can do it, and I see Joe every day. I see him out, traveling around this country. I see his vigor. I see his energy. I see his passion every single day.
See, this is where it's confirmed to me that she's a liar every bit as much as Joe. We see him every day too, and we have grave concerns. All right, we see the weak walk. We see him falling asleep at meetings. We see him get lost. We see him. He needs to be guided by people, other heads of state. The whole thing is embarrassing. If she just opened up a little, right, just a little, let a little bit of authenticity, a little bit of truth, but she won't. And then, quite frankly, her denialism gets a little bit scary to me. And then, well, they lied about everything, and I think she's lying about this, obviously.
The cruelty of MAGA Republicans against your family. Does any part of you once in a while think, oh, maybe we bow out?
That's why I want to go through yet another campaign. Because I think, as Joe says, democracy, our freedoms are what's on the line. And so Americans have a choice. They can have strong, steady leadership, someone fighting for democracy, or they can choose chaos and division.
Whose freedom is really on the line? Hunter Biden's, Hunter's, maybe even Joe's. That's why they want to stay in power so much. And then look, that's a lie, I think. And we've established, right, this is all deception. We have our own, we know what's going on. And then there's this, and this seems almost creepy to me.
We must win. We cannot let go of our democracy.
And if you don't?
I don't know.
Can't even think about it.
No, I can't think about it.
It is creepy. Oh, we'll go to Delaware, we'll go to Rehoboth Beach, and we'll get by. No, we're all in serious trouble. Democracy, right? To save democracy, you must beat Trump. So what are they going to come up with? What are they going to come up with? How are they going to take Trump out? What are they going to do next? The indictment thing doesn't work, right? I think they're very nervous about actually beating him legitimately. So what are they going to do? And that smug look that Jill had on her face right there, I wonder what they're thinking. God protect President Trump.